First of all, thanks for coming for the interview and welcome to the UK. Could you just introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name's Atul, and I am the technical lead for Hackosaurus.
And
you.
I'm Jess, and I am the design and learning lead for Hackosaurus.
Okay. And what exactly is the Hackosaurus project?
So roughly speaking, it is a toolkit and curriculum for helping teens and other sort of non-traditionally technical people understand how the web works, be able to deconstruct web pages and remix them and create their own.
So it's like a website building project.
Not quite a website. It's more focused on right now in particular. It's more focused. The main tool in the toolkit is something we call X-ray goggles, and so they basically let you, when they're activated on any web page, they let you deconstruct the web page, sort of see through the matrix is the metaphor that we use, and see how they're put together and be able to sort of zoom into particular parts, look into more detail how they're put together, and then actually start tweaking those things, remixing them, and through that learning, like understanding better how the web works, and then going from there, you can create your own websites, which we haven't yet created. Well, we have some tools in development to be able to do that more easily, but right now it's focused more on inspecting and remixing and what we call hacking individual pages that are anywhere on the internet, whether it's Facebook or your best friend's website or whatever, and sharing your remixes with your friends and family.
Yeah, so we use hacking as basically a strategy for really starting to learn HTML and CSS, but not having to build from scratch a website. So the scaffolding is really learning how to hack and then moving on towards larger web making.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you briefly explain your individual roles in the development of Hackosaurus?
Sure.
Sure. I'm the technical lead, and so I basically program the X-ray goggles. It's a JavaScript bookmarklet that can work on right now any browser except Internet Explorer, but we're trying to add support for that. And I also work with Jess on just like the overall program, deciding what learning objectives are, and figuring out how to create learning experiences. One of the things we've been exploring into more recently is creating interactive learning experiences that are somewhat game-like, that basically give very fast feedback about what you're doing right or what you need help on, that sort of teach you in a kind of game-like way about how to create things on the web. Yeah.
And I work on really creating a fluid learning experience from the point that you get onto the website to making your first hack. And I work really a lot. I work on the design elements with the tool and the user experience elements, and help to co-build all of the tools. But then I also work with a community of teenagers and tweens and educators to really co-build the project, but also to iterate and user test in a rapid prototyping manner, which is really exciting. And I work very closely with the Hive Learning Network in New York, which is really a place that Mozilla uses. It's a network of many organizations who are dedicated to creating new kinds of learning experiences with technology for youth throughout the city in a networked, connected learning type of environment. And we use it as kind of a lab to also incubate ideas, but also to test ones as we're working on the project.
Right. So you say Hive is based in New York. Is Project Hackosaurus based in New York?
No, we're distributed all over. I'm in New York. Atul is in California, and we have contributors all over the world, London. But we also have, for example, community members, so volunteers in Nairobi who are running hack jams for youth. And that's kind of a movement that we're really trying to support, is just allowing people to be empowered to create their own kinds of spaces to create web making experiences. So hack jams, hack shops, workshops, classes, and also think about different kinds of educators. So a youth could take on that role as a teacher, or a technologist could be a peer mentor, that kind of thing.
Okay. And what can we expect from Hackasaurus over the next 3 years? Where is it looking to go?
Do you want to start?
That's a good question. That's actually something that that we're figuring out now ourselves, as we're sort of rapidly iterating on this and seeing what works and what doesn't. One of the directions that we'd like to go is actually making these sorts of hacks that people make persistent, so that if we're friends and I decide to change like something on the New York Times homepage, then the idea is that you want to sort of, the metaphor we use is like put on the Atul goggles, and so then you see the web through my eyes, and then so when you go to the New York Times website, if I've changed some ad or something like that, you actually see that hack. So it's sort of like this kind of social persistence kind of idea. So that's at least one of the directions that we would really like to go in. But we would also like to explore some other opportunities with like open educational resources and stuff. Do you want to talk about those a bit?
Yeah, we're definitely exploring different kinds of platforms to use as distribution channels for the kind of curriculum that we're building, and we're thinking of curriculum in kind of a flexible way, where we're considering using P2PU or New Visions or the Young Adult Librarians Association as places that we could kind of distribute the work that we're doing, but also so these different kinds of communities could really look at the tools and use it in a way that's natural to them, so that we're not telling them to make websites for the sake of making websites, but they're doing it because they're truly interested in communicating their unique message through web making. So that could be journalists, or that could be filmmakers, because web making really is just the foundation tool to help you to succeed in whatever you're trying to communicate.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Atul. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
Can I ask a couple of questions? I'm an educator in this country.
Sure.
Is it true that Hackasaurus was created in a hack day environment?
Yes.
Can you tell us how it was created, how it came about?
Concept.
Oh, okay, yeah. So sort of the genesis of it was kind of actually. So we had the prequel to this festival last year in Barcelona. And so there we had this really great coming together of, the theme of that was learning freedom in the web. And so we had this great coming together of educators like Jess and other like librarians and other people that were brought together by the MacArthur Foundation as people who were just really sort of revolutionary thinkers.
And members of the Hive Learning Network
Yeah.
in New York and Chicago.
Yeah. And so basically, we had a sort of brainstorm workshop that I led, where the question that I posed was basically, pretend that we have this magical Swiss Army knife for the web that let you remix it and stuff like that. At that time, we had no idea what it would look like or anything. But the idea was, given that, what kind of curriculum would you as educators actually build around it? So the thing that we came up with by the end of the festival was actually this. It was sort of like a culture jamming / ad hacking kind of thing, where the idea was, hey, get kids, like it's assumed that every kid has a laptop, and there's maybe 10 to 15 kids total, and they've got maybe about an hour and a half of time or something. And the idea is that the facilitator says, okay, find 5 web pages that has ads you don't like. And then you talk about why don't you like the ads, and so this gets into sort of like media literacy kind of component, where these ads come from and so forth, and then what would you take one of those ads you don't like and think about what kind of ad that you would like to replace it with, if you had the ability to do that. And so the idea is that then they use a photo editing type program. There's one in particular that that the kids at this one library knew how to use, that's on the web. It's called the Aviary. And so it was assumed before that they would know how to use that. And so the idea would be that they would create that replacement ad on the aviary, and then they would use this magical Swiss Army knife to remove the ad and then put their replacement in. And then at the click of a button, they would be able to share their new ad with all of their friends. So then when the friends went to the New York Times or whatever site they had replaced the ad on, their friends would then see their cool ad. And so that was sort of like the use case. And so then after that, basically, I sort of prototyped the goggles, and yeah, from a pretty early stage, just like 2 months later in January, we started, or February of this year, we started actually having these hack jams. And originally, like, we actually didn't have that remix functionality, so it was just purely like, hey, try going to these websites and just seeing through the matrix and inspecting them and stuff like that. But then we slowly added the kinds of features of the Swiss Army knife that sort of help fulfill that use case.
And we failed fast and often and iterated fast. And I think that's really important to any kind of project, is to just let yourself fail. And with working with teenagers and 10-year-olds, they'll tell you when you're failing, and they'll tell you really fast. So that's the benefit of really having this kind of great organic partnership with the Hive Learning Networks. And it's really kind of great because if you think about it, this Mozilla Festival birthed the idea, and now a year later, we're releasing beta today. So it's pretty exciting for us.
Moving fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else got any questions?
No. Just the other thing, I would put in a request for GitHub that's easier to use.
Yes,
we want that too.
Like, what's really funny is that GitHub itself is like, it's almost like if somebody saw SourceForge or Google Code or something like that and was like, I really wish that there was a Google Code or a SourceForge that was easier to use. And now we've got that with GitHub, but still, it's like, it could still be easier, because whenever I show it to non-techies, they're just like, yeah.
There are just so many tools that we really rely on when you're making this kind of project, because we're building it as an open source project.
Yeah.
So we have Lighthouse, which is our project tracker, and we have GitHub as our kind of code repository, and sometimes we have to use Dropbox for our images and Etherpad for our notes. And so, like, between all of these things, it's just like you have to keep learning different kinds of systems and be flexible. But I think that's really kind of like true in spirit to what Hackasaurus is about, because we're essentially hacking all of our tools to really work for us and make our project streamlined. So it's kind of fun at the same time as daunting.
Yeah.